Good morning. In Romans 8:28 it says, "And we know that all things work to the good, to them that love God and are called according to his purpose." And I can say that looking back, all things work together to the good, to them that love God and are called according to his purpose. I was looking forward to being home just a few days when church was coming up on Sunday, and I was looking forward to going to church with my mum for the first time. And at the same time, I was kind of scared. There I was, going with my mum to church on a Sunday. And Sunday came, but before Sunday came, I looked for a job everywhere for those 3 days. I couldn't find one. I travelled. People would say, I go to a firm, and they'd say, "Where have you been working?" How time I've been working for the Queen and things like that. So they'd say, "We'd call you." And so that's the way it was. But on Sunday, I'm looking forward to going to church. I lived on the Hawthorne Road in Bootle, and it's on the junction of Marsh Lane and Aintree Road. And so to get to church, we had to walk down Marsh Lane towards the Dockland and get the bus. So I'm walking with my mum, and I'm telling you, I'm nervous in case I run into any of my friends. And I was really embarrassed, I'll be honest with you. And got down to the bus stop, and we wait. It seems like an eternity for the bus to come. And finally, the number 16 comes. We get on the bus, and on the bottom deck, it's a two-decker bus. On the bottom deck, there's a long chair as you get on a long seat that holds 4 passengers. But there was just one guy on it, sprawled. He was the last guy I'd seen before I got convicted at the charge I just come out for. And his name is Jimmy. And Jimmy was sitting on there, and he said, "Where are you going?" And I said, I'm going to church. I mean, it seemed for an eternity to get it out. And I said, "Where are you going?" He said, "Going to play football for the Showbiz 11. Jimmy was the last person I'd seen. We were in the strip club together on a Sunday afternoon. He was the singer. He played the guitar and sang, and that's all I did. But we drank, and that was a lot. And so got upstairs on that bus, and I was scared to death. I mean, it was my first real. What a challenge it was, So gets on the bus with my mum, gets to church, and the music was incredible as we got in. They were worshiping God and they were praising the Lord. And all of a sudden, things lifted in my heart. The fear had gone, and it was a joyful thing just to be in church with my mum. But they sang the songs, they sang the old hymns, and boy, I was enjoying them. Preacher preached, and he was just magnificent. I loved his spirit, and I loved the way he said things. It was just really good. And of course, I didn't understand everything he was saying, but I just loved to be in that kind of atmosphere. Then a man in the church prophesied, then he gave the interpretation of that prophecy. And boy, I got all goosey, hair stood on end on my arms. It was an amazing experience. And then all of a sudden there's a tap on my shoulder, and it was the man a friend of my mum's who'd been praying for me a long time, and he said, "Not of God." And I was stunned. I thought, what a fool. I thought, what an idiot. I should have known that. But I didn't know whether it was of God or not. I just know it was in the Spirit of the Lord touched me when that man spoke, and it was amazing. So when we get out in the car, this man's taking us home with his wife and my mum. And on the way home, he talks about the preacher having... shouldn't have allowed that prophecies to stand. He should have done something about the man that prophesied. And all the time, they did nothing but criticize and criticize. By the time I got home, I was totally perplexed. Tony had knocked on the door. Jimmy I'd met on the bus. None of them brought the same pressure. This for the first time as a Christian. I was confused. I really was. And because I thought it was amazing to hear that prophecy. And now I'm being told it's not of God. But when they criticized all the way home, and then for the next couple of weeks did the same, it was really rough. It was a rough going. I couldn't find a job. Everywhere I looked, they would ask the same question: "Where have you been?" No clothes. My friends were knocking on the door. But the biggest challenge was to overcome the thought that I had, I must be crazy. I've imagined all this, and that's what I did. I said, I've brainwashed myself. I've just absolutely brainwashed myself. And I decided after that 3 weeks that I wasn't going to go to church anymore, that I was going to just worship the Lord in my room as a hermit. That was it for me. Not going to do it no more. So I told my mum on the Friday night, I said, Mum, I said, I'm really sorry, but I'm not going to church on Friday. I'm not going to church on Sunday. She looked at me, she said, why? So I explained to her what I'd just gone through. And she said, son, he's a man of God. He knows what he's talking about. I said, I don't know about that, Mum. But all I know is when I was in prison with John, when I was in prison with them prisoners, we never knocked anybody because we were all sinners, Mum, saved by the grace of God. I said, we just lifted each other up and built each other up. I said, I'm a young Christian. I said, Tony's knocked at the door. All his mates are knocking at the door. I've got no friends. I've got no money, got no job. I said, that's a lot of pressure for me, Mum. I said, and all this man does is come and cut my throat. I said, all that pressure didn't hurt me half as much as that did. And she said, son, you must go to church. And I decided, no, I can't. I'm not going to go and listen to that on a Sunday. I'm through.